new lens or focal length to my lens lineup, I like to take it out and test it. I like to shoot with just that lens, get to know it a little bit, get my eye used to it. And today I'm using a 200mm prime. Now 200mm is not a focal length I use a lot, especially not in the forest like this. I'm not a stranger to 200mm. In fact, I have a 200mm focal length lens. It's just attached to a 70 to 200 2.8 lens. I'm not sure, I don't have a lot of images made with a 200mm because I don't like taking that lens along because it's so big. It's big and heavy. Or if it's just the type of areas I photograph don't lend themselves that much to that focal length. But I decided to add a 200mm prime to my lens lineup. This lens is working pretty well for this type of shot where there's just this little bit of water coming down. It's letting me isolate it. And what I'm really attracted to is the ferns on the rocks behind the water coming down. I think it makes an interesting composition. In contrast, these ferns really pop out of the dark background. If you've seen my Making a Zine series, my summer zine series I did last year, you'll probably recognize some of the images I'm making today. This is really just kind of to test out this lens, and I knew that there would be some distant shots out here that would benefit from this focal length. It'll give you something to compare to what I already have as well. I did a quick comparison with this 200mm to the 70 to 200 I have at home. I just did a quick one, shot a fence just for detail. I just wanted to see what I'm giving up using this lens because I expect it being so old and compact that I'm going to lose something in sharpness. So I just did a quick test just to kind of get an idea. And to my surprise, and I guess because it's a prime, they're easier to make, but this is actually sharper than my 7200 at 200. Now my 7200 isn't that new. It's an older lens, so that could be one reason why this is actually sharper. At least in that test, it looks sharper. I want to see what it looks like in real world situations. That's really what matters most anyway. I was attracted to the roots of this cedar tree where they meet the rocks, and there's a round of rock kind of wedged in there in the roots. Interesting detail shot, interesting textures, and the lighting, side lighting it, bringing out the texture even more. It's pretty cool. And now I'm noticing up the stream here, I haven't put a lens on it yet, but I'm thinking these crossing logs across the stream might be another interesting detail shot. I'm thinking in terms of detail shots, even though I'm, you know, quite a ways away from this this composition. Using this 200mm focal length is getting me to look at this focal length a little bit different. In the past, I would usually use this lens to compress a scene or to stack like the hillside or mountains, that kind of thing. But I'm starting to see the value of being able to isolate things from a distance. Over this last year, I've slowly begun collecting a pretty decent assortment of prime lenses. And most of them are like this old lens. They're old, they're vintage. But so far, everyone that I have seems to perform quite well, and they seem to adapt well on this Sony body. They're very affordable, but I'm collecting these lenses based on size and sometimes weight. This 200mm is so much easier to take with me when I want to be out making images. The zoom lenses are just too big. I mean, yeah, it's true, I could get a couple zoom lenses and cover the same range, but the problem is they're on the camera when I'm making pictures. So my 7200 is so much more cumbersome to use than this 200mm prime. And the cool thing about primes is I don't have to take them all. I can just take a couple. I can take a few. Where zoom lenses, I can't leave part of the lens home. I'm carrying 70 to 200 millimeters whether I want to use them or not. I think my time with film cameras like 4x5, large format, medium format, where you're using mostly prime lenses, I think my time working with those systems has influenced my photography a lot nowadays, and I really desire to work that way. I'm just choosing to do so with a 35mm digital camera right now. The more I use these old lenses, the more satisfied I become with the gear I have. I don't see myself looking at the latest, greatest lenses that have come out. It's funny how once you embrace your camera gear and you're happy with what you're getting, the newest cameras, the newest lenses don't seem to have as much of a draw to me anyway. I'm embracing the look of these older lenses. When I use prime lenses, the cool thing is they've been able to make prime lenses sharp for a long time. They've been able to make them really good for a long time. And that's probably why this 200mm stacks up so well against my zoom, my 7200. It's a very simple lens. It's an f4. It's slow lens. Out here, I don't need a 2.8. I'm just carrying extra weight for speed that I don't need. The truth is, this f4 lens works great for anything that I would shoot in nature. Well, the light is getting a little harsh. In midsummer, it's usually the way it is as it gets a little higher. I got a few shots today, enough to test out and to compare this lens. I've thoroughly enjoyed using it though. Just the compactness of it. It really for such a long focal length, it really is a pleasure to use. I'm finding that with all my vintage primes. They are quite a pleasure to use. As long as you don't mind manual focusing, they can be an affordable way to get some pretty decent glass. And with the mirrorless cameras, you can punch in and focus, which helps quite a bit. So I think we're going to end it here this morning. I'm going to head back to the car and go get some breakfast. I look forward to using this lens some more. And there's no reason not to have it along. It doesn't take a lot of room in my camera bag. If you like coming along on my photography journey and would like to help keep me out making photos and videos, consider picking up one of my zines or visit my PayPal donation page at my website, ridenedgephotography.com. Most of all, don't forget to like and subscribe. And why not leave a comment introducing yourself? I'm always interested in who stopped by my channel to say hello. So until next time, thanks for coming along for the ride.